Raghunath, are you ready for this?
What?
The wisdom of the sages trainings that are going on.
Where?
At the Eco Village, the Govardhan Eco Village in India.
Why?
To totally transform your life spiritually.
Who?
You, me, Radha Swami's going to be there. Other great teachers are going to be there. Lots of cool people.
How?
You go to wisdomofthesages.com/events. You find all the information there.
Haribo.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from the Super Soul Farm Ashram, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center, New York, Stu Badas. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's Walk on Wednesday day, but before we introduce our very, very special guests, I just want to say good morning.
Good morning.
Here with our live crew, including Mara and secret, we can't say secret man, and Mallory.
Okay, thank you for the little rundown.
Well, I gave everybody a hello this morning on Zoom. If you're on Zoom, I say hello to everybody. So I just wanted to hello them as well.
All right.
Yeah. And someone else sleeping upstairs. Okay. What's going on, Stu?
I don't know. You're the guy that had some kind of theme you wanted to get into today, but is that for later or?
It's for later.
Okay, that's for
later. We were binge watching. Me and Mara got into this binge watching episode. You know, have you ever read the book Shantaram?
Oh, did they make a series out? I have read
They made
Shantaram,
a series out. It's a great book. If you like, I mean, and it's a true story, and it's such a good book.
Based on a true story, I think.
Based on a true story, but
that book went on forever, though. I mean, it's like they
went on forever. In all truth, I didn't finish it. When the guy went to Afghanistan, I was like, I can't finish this book.
It was like a whole new book. It's like, oh,
the adventures never stop.
Yeah,
it's like it makes you realize, like, man, I need more adventure in my life, stuff like that. I mean, he did go to jail a few times, Indian jail, but you know, it's about this guy
living in the Australian guy that kind of escapes a prosecution in Australia.
He escapes a prison. He escapes a prison.
He escapes prison.
He was he's sort of an intellectual guy, gets mixed up in drugs, gets sent to prison for some small bank robbery, and the guy, his partner ends up killing a cop, and it was no plan to kill a cop, and he wouldn't tell who they were, who his friend was. And then the cops beat him in prison, and he somehow escaped because they thought he was going to die in prison. Ends up in India, lives in the slums of India, and he gets into
Mumbai.
Here's my point where I'm going with this whole story.
Where are you going?
It takes place in a lot of it in Mumbai, in the underbellies of Mumbai, and this, you know, prostitution.
In that restaurant, what's that place?
What's that? Leopold's.
Leopold's, yeah.
And it takes place in the underbelly, in the slums. And it shows the community in the slums, and he becomes like a doctor because he was like a medic, and he becomes a doctor in the slums. And then there's like all these mafia and insides to the mafia, and it was just like, I was like, and corrupt police officers. And I was thinking to myself, my experience in Bombay, I've never seen anything bad. Now that doesn't mean not bad things are going on. It just means, here's what it means to me: you get what you're looking for. When I go to India, I look for spiritual things. I look for spiritual people. I look for spiritual happenings. And because that, I get drawn to that. So when you ask me, what do you think of Bombay? I'm like, Bombay is the most spiritual place in the universe. Why? Well, our guru's there. The community of devotees are there. The deities are there.
Bhaktivedanta Hospital is there.
There's so many you and I, and a lot of us listening to the show have had. I'm looking at Lori Pag right now. You know, I'm Dominic Priya right now. A lot of and Mara right now. A lot of us have a very deep spiritual, significant shifts in our life in Bombay. Why? Because we don't go looking for heroin. We don't go looking for drugs. We don't go looking for prostitutes. They're there, and that's the whole material world. The nonsense is there if you're looking for it. Careful what you look for.
Oh, thank you.
Careful what you look for. You'll find it.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
I like it, Ragnar. Thank you. Thank you.
Anyway, I've come to realize I'm a lightweight when it comes to TV. I think we binge watched 3, and then I was like, I'm tired.
Okay.
Yeah. So we want to bring on a special guest today.
Are we going to do announcements first?
We want to make some announcements.
Well, first of all, you're going off on tour today, Ragnar. I want to wish you good luck on your tour.
Thank you. I'm looking
Wish you all
forward
the
to it. But
best.
check this out. We got a good devotee tour. Because
All right.
even though Youth of Today wasn't a devotee band at all, we were sort of, I was influenced by it when I wrote the lyrics.
Yeah.
But now Parmanand has obviously become a devotee. I'm a devotee. Our roadie is the great Sachi Sutta.
Rhodey's a devotee.
Rhodey's a devotee. And then we got Bob Healy's roadieing too.
Bob Healy's going with you.
Bob Healy's roadie. So we got
King of
4
Hearts.
devotees
Oh.
on tour with us. And then we got Sammy and Walter's coming to India in January.
Okay.
That's 6. And then I got my buddy, my boofish from Rhode Island, Lori Pag's friend, who's been my childhood friend, he just loves devotees. He just loves people. So basically we got like a little devotee tour going on. Oh, and Parmanand's son, Kana, is coming.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Okay.
So I'll see you in New York with you better show up in Bushwick.
I'm going. Why, you don't have to threaten me. I'm going. What's the problem?
Okay.
You better show up. What are you going to do if I don't? No, I plan on being there.
And then Philly, we got the whole Philly crew, John Burke, Dan Murphy, David Charles Wilson, other Philadelphia people.
It'll
See all the Zoomers.
It'll be nice.
Yeah.
And Mara's in for a shot. Is Mara coming?
She can't decide. She's on the.
She's got to watch her health.
I think she's scared of the hardcore.
Well,
She's
she
scared
may
of the.
see you
She's
in
scared
another
of the
way.
mosh.
I don't think she's afraid of the mosh. She boxes, Raghunath. I think she's just afraid that she may see you in a different light.
She definitely will.
I can't relate to that, Raghunath, up there on that stage.
Yeah, it's a really ugly incarnation of myself. Ouch.
What did she say? We can't hear.
I'm
her.
not. It's a little loud. Okay, Jeffrey Ackler's going.
it's loud,
What
yeah.
the heck?
All right, can I make some?
Laura Marco says you're gonna have fun, but
I know.
Laura Marco likes stage diving.
I would like stage diving. I think that part would be fun.
All
If
right.
you stage dive, I lose all respect for you. How about that?
It's like a no-win situation here. All right, announcements. We have an asana class at 3 p.m. today with Michelle Berger for our Patreon members. Tomorrow's show will be at 8 a.m.
Wait a second.
Tomorrow's
Oh yeah,
Thursday.
tomorrow.
And
Tomorrow,
then
yes.
Friday, we may not have a show.
Yeah, I think
Friday is a no go
Okay.
because we're driving. Yeah, no. Sorry.
Okay. And then coming up, we have episode 900. So if you want to, we're going to do a special episode. If you want to write to us and tell us about how reading the Bhagavatam every single day has changed your life or affected you.
It's called Meet the Zoomers. Meet the Zoomers or the Zothers or the others. Write in. So if you're not on Zoom, write it in and be succinct. Tell us your story, how the Bhagavatam affect you. We're calling it episode 900. Who am I? Why am I here? Who are you? Why am I here? Who are you? Who are you? Why am I here? And so that's our theme. So tell us your story, how you got here. We're really interested. Now let's bring on our special guest. And every day we have Uru Gaya is a regular Zoomer, Damodar Priya is a regular Zoomer, and they have a very special child who's very dear to all 3 of us, Mara, me, and Kostuba, and a lot of the people in our community. Her name is Amelini. And she
Amelini
just
Radha.
turned 11. But to us, you'll always be a 4-year-old dancing around in Kirtan, Amelini. Welcome to the show, Amelini.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And Amelini has, grown up a devotee. Her parents are serious, sincere devotees and old friends of mine. And their family means everything to me. And Amelini's always been part of our family as well. They call me Uncle Raghu. And Amelini, welcome to the show. What's it like growing up a devotee?
It's quite fun. There's a lot to learn, but it also comes a little bit easier.
What comes easier? Learning?
Yeah,
Is that just because you're smart or because your parents are devotees?
both.
Okay, yeah, we'll hear that. And also, like, but you don't go to a devotee school. Is that a problem? You go to a regular school. Is that a problem for you? Like
Um,
dealing with the differences of kids that aren't devotee? Do you feel accepted?
well, here's for one thing. I know that I'm accepted. I've already made some new friends. There is one person that's a teacher that does know that I'm a devotee.
Hmm.
So it's not, and also one of my older friends goes there. So it's not really that hard.
It's not hard. What about vegetarianism? And is that an issue?
No.
Like, to people, no one cares anymore, right? It's like a lot of people are vegetarians, right?
Mm, yeah. Perhaps not in my class, but yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you're not singled out. You feel welcome to the community. She just started a new school. Mary, you got a question for her or Kostub?
Oh, I wasn't even thinking any question. I'm just so happy. I was just going to say that I met Amelini about 5 or 6 years ago. You were 6 at the time, right? When we went to India?
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to India, and she was just such a joy to have on that pilgrimage. Everywhere we went, she was just really, I could see that it wasn't just like a getaway or but it was actually on a devotional level. She was really appreciating all the different places that we went. Such a unique experience. But you really rose to the occasion, because I know that a lot of times we would wake up very early and go to sleep very late, travel a lot, be in all kind of different crowded situations and so on. But you really seem to be a natural to taking it all in. Why don't you tell me how that trip was for you?
It was one of the best trips of my life.
Yeah.
I love
That was the one time we went to Jaipur. Was that the trip you're talking
No,
about?
we went. Well, first of all, we were in the eco village together, and then we went to Mayapur, and then we went to Vrindavan.
Oh yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
I remember we had that long day. I think it was Vashant Panchami in Vrindavan. We went early in the morning. We went to Radharaman Temple for the Mangalarti, and then we just kept going all day. And then late at night, we went to Banki Bihari, and then Saji Mandir, and all those different places.
You got a good memory, Kostuba. Yeah. What are some of your favorite pilgrimage spots? I mean, you've been, and then you went on a pilgrimage with me once. What are your favorite places? Where do you recommend people to go?
Well, I definitely recommend Vrindavan
Okay.
And why is that?
because of the wonderful people there, the excellent cooking, the beautiful temple.
Yeah.
I also recommend Colombia if it's not
Sure.
like if you don't want to go to one of the. It's kind of like a great starting place for people who have just started being a devotee.
The Sham Ashram in Cali, Colombia.
Yeah, that's right. You went for the entire month. That was great.
And Govardhan Eco Village.
Did you like to go over to Eco Village?
The cows.
Okay. Tell us about your experience there, because we're about to go there in January.
Indra Maharaj was there one time when I was there.
I remember what he told you there too. Do you remember?
Yes.
It had to do with unicorns.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
right.
yeah. That was your question, right? Are there unicorns in the spiritual world?
Yeah.
And he said there are, right? He said the unicorns are real.
Yeah. He
Said, but only good devotees can see them.
then like a month later, couple months later, there was this package from him, and there were two stuffy unicorns, a baby and a mother.
What?
From and
It's just some stuffed unicorns.
Poland.
He sent you some stuffed unicorns from Poland? What? That's the land of unicorns, Poland.
From Woodstock.
From Woodstock.
Wow.
Wow.
That
That's
is so
beautiful.
sweet. He remembered that. How sweet. You have a sweet relationship with Indrajumna Swami already. And do you like chanting? How do you feel when you chant? Do you like it, or is it sort of bothersome? I'm curious. how a kid feels about that. Like, do you like kirtan better than japa?
Honestly, for the kirtan, it depends what type, but I do like chanting. It kind of like cools me down.
Do you have a
Okay.
favorite kirtan leader,
Oh yeah,
singer?
you don't have to say me because I'm here. If it's not me, it's okay. I'm not offended. I'm not offended.
Janavi Harrison.
Johnny Harrison. There you go.
Johnny Harrison, yeah.
You
Well,
came to the concert a couple weeks ago, right? Yeah, I saw you there. I remember.
Yeah, Amelini was over having a play date with Rooney the other day, and they were playing Johnny B. Harrison live.
Oh yeah.
Okay, here's one family. Here's a question for the Page family Bhakti. It's on the board right now. She said, my kids are 7 and 9. What advice do you have for younger kids starting their spiritual path? Because I don't think they were born into it. So what do you do with kids?
Page family Bhakti.
They should go to the Krishna conscious festivals.
There you go.
Oh,
Raghunath,
that's
you always
smart.
said that the festivals are very kid friendly.
Festivals are kid friendly. That's a great idea. What about watching like Little Krishna on TV?
Well, that's a definite yes.
And you know what? And sure enough, Tarun is finally getting my 8-year-old is finally getting into Amar Chitra Katha.
Oh yeah, the comic books.
Well, he likes to trivia quiz people, so he's got all these. I think he reads it just to stump people during dinner, and now he's like, and he tried to stump Kostubi yesterday. So who was the first one to die at the lake when the Yaksha was questioning Yudhisthira?
Did I get it right?
We don't know. He said Nakula. You said Sahadev. I'm not positive, but
was he guessing or was he taking?
I don't know. I don't know. But my point is he's reading Amar Chitra Katha. It's a great way to go. I love reading Amar Chitra Katha. Did you grow up reading those Krishna Kid comic books?
No, but I did grow up reading
Harry Potter.
Yes, and also the Krishna book.
Oh,
okay.
Jumping right into the adult
Jumped
stuff.
right into the. Well, all right, Amelini, it's a pleasure to have you around. You were always the inspirational dancer. Like when there's a sitting down kirtan, and all of a sudden this like 6-year-old would start spinning around in a.
She's a good dancer.
In like a yogi skirt. It was, yeah, we loved having you, and we still love having you, even though you're twice the size right now. But thanks for being part of our community. And I know you've been listening to the show from the very beginning. You, practically speaking, never miss a show. And thank your parents on our behalf because we love them too.
Raghunath, I think we got to do like kids retreat or kids pilgrimage. Where there's like lots of kids.
Them. Kasuba leads the kids pilgrimage.
We got Karuna coming. We get Nitai and Gopi Lieberman.
Page family Bhakti.
Page family Bhakti could come. Anybody that's got kids that you bring your kids.
You know what we should do it? We should do it in Florida at the Springs. That would be great.
I'm down.
All right.
Thank you, Amelini. It was great to have you on the show.
Fights.
Great to be here.
Raghunath just took out a 6-year-old with a pillow.
I've seen you when you throw in your kid. I remember how you used to throw the kids in the pool, Raghunath. I've seen that.
Yeah. Kids like it. Kids need a little masculine energy. Narayanam namaskrityanaram chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim yasam tatojayam mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshu badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksurun Midatam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam.
New chapter.
Canto 4, starting chapter 29, text 1.
This is exciting.
You getting all
The
worked
talks
up?
between Narada and King Prachini Barhi. Hey, Kostuba, what for some reason when I said that thing earlier about Shantaram, how you get what you look for,
Yeah.
a Sanskrit shloka was coming to my head, and I don't even know what the shloka is, but what is this shloka? Yum yum vapi smaram babam.
Oh, yum yum vapi smaram babam. Yeah, that whatever you remember at the time of death,
There you go. That just
surely
came into
that
my
you will
mind.
attain to. Yeah.
So what we remember at the time of death. Does that have anything to do with what I said?
Well,
In one
sorta.
sense, what you focus on, you get, basically.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. I'll take that.
Interesting.
Okay.
All right, so we start a new chapter today, Raghunath, chapter 29. We're almost finished with the fourth canto. You know, we did in the first year, we did cantos 1 and 2, right?
Yeah.
To the day, like, and then the second year to the day, we did the entire canto 3. And it looks like this year we're just gonna maybe just come right in and finishing up canto 4. Both 3 and 4 big cantos, right?
Yeah.
All right. And so but for the past this chapter is entitled Talks Between Narada and King Prachini Barhishat. Well, they've been talking already for 4 chapters prior to this. But it's all been in the form of this allegory, right? This elaborate allegory. And with so many different metaphors and now King Prachini Barhishat, who's like, he's kind of like this he's sincere, but he's been through his ups and downs in life, and he's trying to be a good king, trying to be spiritual, but he's got his attachments and he's suffering because of it. And so Narada's just kind of like, he's told him the whole allegory. Now he's turning to Narada and say, I don't really understand it. Could you explain the allegory to me better? I need you to help me with this. All right.
All right. Ready, sir?
Yeah, let's start with text 1. I think we can I think I can summarize a lot at the beginning of this because it's stuff that we've already covered. So, but why don't you go ahead and read the first verse?
King Prachini Barhi replied, My dear Lord, we could not appreciate completely the purport of your allegorical story of King Paranjana. Actually, those who are perfect in spiritual knowledge can understand, but for us who are overly attached to fruitive activities, to realize the purpose of your story, it's very difficult.
Okay. So it's interesting, right? He's saying that.
Well, attachment covers truth.
There you go. Truth perception, right?
Right.
Is so important, right? Just that idea. I mean, we can see it in so many different ways, right? Sometimes we use that analogy of someone that's kind of become infatuated with another person, fallen in love with them, right?
Yeah.
And they're not seeing what everybody else is seeing, right? Because of their attachment is so strong.
You hear, no matter
hear what
what
you want to
person,
hear. Yeah.
Sometimes when a person tries to give you instructions, you hear only the instruction you want to hear.
Right.
Well, what you're doing is good, but, and then they'll give a whole list of reasons why you shouldn't be doing that thing. And what happened in your conversation? He said, well, he said what I was doing was good. That's what they wanted to hear, and that's what they heard. So due to attachment, you hear explicitly what you want to hear. And in this particular story, it's all about, hey, man, you got to keep it separated. The spirit self is completely different, completely pure, and you're getting mixed up in the material world, even for pious activities, is not going to, eventually the rug is going to get pulled out from under your feet. And then what? So take this seriously.
So yeah, and you gotta appreciate the king, where he's saying he's saying, look, I'm not like a deeply spiritually advanced person, totally detached from material things, seeing truth clearly with clear perception of truth. That's not me. But at least he's not like so blind that he's not walking away saying, oh yeah, I get your story and I understand it. No, he's saying like, I want to really understand this, and I know that it's my own attachments that prevent me from understanding this more clearly. So,
by the way, it's very easy for me to say that example that I just said, like, yeah, if a person's attached to this, they can't hear it. Yeah. But the truth is, if I take this seriously,
flip it back at yourself.
At myself.
Yeah.
If I really had no attachments, the first time I heard the Bhagavatam, I'd be on a whole different path. It's
Sure.
right.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh my God, this is right. What the hell am I doing with my life? You'd let go of all attachments immediately. So the Bhagavatam speaks to us in accordance to how much we can hear it and how much our attachments have a grip on us. And truthfully, as we have a grip on our attachments, that's more like we're embracing the cactus, you know.
Good point.
And so I mean, I can honestly say the first time I read the Bhagavad Gita, this makes no sense at all. You know, the second time I heard spiritual knowledge, not for me. Interesting, not for me. And slowly, especially as I age, it makes more and more sense. Like the veils drop, the curtain rises, and things make more spiritual truth. There's less hope in the material world as you age. The window closes for opportunity. You know, if I want to be fight in the UFC, that ain't gonna happen in this lifetime. If I want to be a major league baseball player, that window closed. There might have been a time where there could have been a glimmer of hope. It's not going to happen.
If you can dream it, Raghunath, you can do it.
I can dream it. If I dream it, it might happen. You got to set your goals. You got to think. You got to think.
It'll just be next
the
life.
Power of intention, Raghunath.
It'll be next life. You'll get it.
Yeah. But that's my point. And so as we become ripened to hear, otherwise we can't take any of this stuff in. And so, yeah, I don't have to project this at other people. Oh, they're attached. That's why it doesn't make any sense. I can put it right back on myself.
That's the whole point. That's where it starts to work for you. Right? We could look at the progression that an individual makes on the spiritual path, and we can understand that it's, you know, like they use analogies like peeling away the layers of the onion. You know, it's like it's a layer after layer after layer, and each layer involves one perceiving more clearly, and as you're pointing out, perceiving themselves more clearly, right? Perceiving, oh, I get it. I'm the one that's attached. I'm not Narada in this story. I'm the king in this story, right?
Exactly.
I'm the person.
I think I'm Narada in the story.
That's right.
Don't they understand? Why are they so damn attached?
Right.
The interesting thing is every shell that you're peeling through of that onion is an ocean of tears.
Oh, not mixing the metaphors, right? Okay.
Every layer of that onion is an ocean of your own tears. Whenever there's a lot of that crying is identified generally. The crying, the triggering, my frustration, my rage, these are all symptoms of me tightly embracing that cactus, tightly embracing something that needs to be shed for me to get to that core.
Yeah, we like to.
There's a diamond in the onion.
Oh, it's throwing another metaphor in there.
Hey,
really
they did it. They do it in the Bhagavatam. Why can't I?
Okay, so, but you know, well, I was just gonna say something. I just totally forgot it. No.
Ocean of tears. Ocean of tears.
No, it had to do with
New Brunswick.
I think what I want to get at is I think it can get easier for us, right? If we can let go. It's like we want to maintain a certain facade. We don't even know that it's a facade, right? But we want to present a facade. I think, you know, most of us have it to some degree. I know I certainly have it. We want to present a facade. I'm deeply spiritual. I'm detached from material things. I'm wise. You know, I'm not one of these people that have, you know, all these. I'm not that embarrassing fool, you know.
How about I'm young? That's like, right? I'm young.
Oh, there's that. Yeah, I'm still young.
I'm young.
Everybody else is looking.
You're not young. I'm still young.
I saw that thing you posted on Instagram.
What was it?
The old men going to.
What was it? It was like a bunch of old men
going into
said
punk rock.
80s punk rock.
There's a little kid. And there's a kid saying, "Aren't you the guys?" The kid's talking to the old guy saying, "Aren't you guys too old to be going into some punk rock show?" Right?
Yeah.
And then they respond,
"We're in the band.
We're the band." So maybe they're trying to think that they're young, but we're all trying to present a certain facade, and what this knowledge is meant to do is crack it. But it cracks probably, layer after layer after layer. And hopefully as we start to break through the layers, we become a little bit more accomplished at it, a little bit more quicker to let go of the facade, a little bit quicker to recognize our own folly in it. And then when you see someone that's deeply spiritually advanced, they're not at all concerned with the facade anymore. You know what story I'd like to think about sometimes?
What?
Is there was this god brother of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, named Akinchana das Babaji.
Yeah.
Right? He's such an interesting figure because Srila Prabhupada, was kind of raised in this particular institution, the Gaudiya Math, right?
Yeah.
Which was his guru's institution, but when his guru passed away, it broke into many little sub branches.
Yeah.
And there's there's a history of tension between those sub branches, right?
Yeah.
And the way that the whole thing works is all those sub branches have a place in Vrindavan, all those sub branches have a place in Navadvip, right? So you go to this holy place, but there's different institutional tensions that are taking place there, and sometimes even bitter ones.
We're institutional tension. The song is called
Bitter.
Bitter.
But this Akinchana das Babaji, he was like this person. He didn't have his own sub institution. He was respected, widely
Wherever
as
he
being
went.
as just being a very simple, pure-hearted person that was 24 hours a day just chanting Maha Mantra because he was a Kinchana. He had no material attachments. His happiness was derived only from the spiritual, right? Only from the holy name, especially, only from associating with devotees, only from being in Vrindavan. And so he was just this very special soul, but it said there's a story about him where, he would stay in those different mutts, in those different institutions. Like he would kind of move around, stay a little bit here in this one, move over to that one, move over to that one. And one time a person who was from one of those mutts, who had a more, let's say, his consciousness or awareness was more tinged with that institutional thinking, right? Accused him. Look at you, you like to pretend that you're this detached Babaji, but you're going from here and then you're going over there and you're going and somehow he saw some fault in it, right?
Yeah.
Like you're not, I don't know.
You're not loyal. You're not loyal.
Yeah, you're
to
not
one of
loyal
us.
to the right one or something like that. And when he said that, his response was just like, finally, somebody finally recognizes who I really am. Everybody's talking about me like I'm some saint. Thank you. You've pointed it out. It's like, in other words,
he welcomed the criticism.
Yeah, he's so beyond the facade, even where he could have clearly defended himself and said, well, I'm just trying to, to appreciate everyone, didn't even bother with that. Was just entirely like, I accept, you're right, So I think that has something to do with our advancement. That I see here, the king, he could have just been nodding like, thank you, great story. Yeah. Thank you, Narada, and never have learned anything and never have, he's trying to peel away the next layer, and so he's saying, I'm attached. And therefore you're giving, I have faith that what you're giving me is really valuable, but honestly, I want you to explain it to me more because I don't understand it all that deeply and I need this, right? Okay.
By the way, the first band I ever saw was CBGB's 1982, the UK Subs.
Okay.
It has something to do with what we were originally saying.
Okay, let's hear it.
I'm bringing it back.
I was there. I was there at that show, Raghunath.
You are kidding.
I've been at. I used to see all the.
Imagine if we could blink, a genie blinked us back there, and we're in the pit, and we look at each other across.
Who is that?
And we
guy?
just like, oh my God, Hare Krishna.
Someday,
and we're back into the
40 years from now, we'll be doing a
40
podcast.
years from now,
together.
you and me.
I mean, there weren't too many people in the room, right? Maybe like a couple hundred or something.
Can't remember. To me, it was like crazy night out of unicorns. But anyway, my point is, they were about 39 years old, and I was like, who are these losers?
I hung out.
They're 39 years old and still doing this type of music.
Charlie Harper.
I'm gonna have a whole different life by the time I'm 39.
And now you're doing it at age. You're going on tour tonight.
I'm older. I'm older.
Much older. And in a band called Youth of Today.
I know. And a band called Youth of Today, it's even more. Oh my God.
No, I hung out a little bit with Charlie Harper back then. I was 15 years old, right?
Yeah. You know, so I think that thing
He was a
like I
character.
am young is another type of thing. It's like we will not admit our own age to ourselves, because isn't it true that sort of like when you were 40, you used to think like, yeah, 50 is pretty old. I remember seeing senior devotees that were 50. I was like, man, that's pretty old. I remember being 30 and remember meeting 40-year-old devotees. And I'd be like, that guy's pretty old. Wow, he's pretty old, getting up there. Now I'm meeting devotees that are just turned 70, Prabhupada disciples. I'm like, this guy's pretty old. But for me, every year I raise it, I was like, well, 50 is a lot different than it used to be. 50 is great. I can go sailing,
50 is the
running,
new
jogging.
25.
Yeah, it's amazing how much illusion there is in age as well. And it's not just positive outlook. It's actually just Maya, and I think there's something beautiful about saying, I'm getting old. And, I'm not going to try to like dance around that.
Okay, I'm with you. Okay, so now what I suggest we do here, Raghunath, is that I just kind of summarize the next 20 or so verses, because what happens here is Narada is going to explain every metaphor within this larger allegory.
Right. All right.
So he speaks about Puranjana, the king that represents the soul, right? The city that represents the body, right? The unknown friend, that's the Paramatma within the heart. The 9 gates of the city, those are the 9 openings within the body, the eyes, the ears, etc.
Yeah.
Puranjani, the queen, represents his dharmic intelligence, right?
Yep.
It said that he had male friends. Those represent the 10 senses. There are 10 senses in the I think the analogy's kind of got a little mixed, because then he says also then the female friends represent the senses of action. So there's the senses of 5 senses of knowledge acquiring senses, the senses that we talk about, and then the 5 senses of action. The serpent with 5 heads was the prana, the life air. The 11th attendant was the mind, the leader of the 10 senses. The Panchala states represented the 5 sense objects.
Mm-hmm.
Then in text 8 through 16, he describes the 9 gates in greater detail. Then he goes deeper into the queen, who represented the dharmic intelligence in text 17. And then he gave an analogy of the chariot, being the body being like a chariot. And then he spoke about Chandavega's attack on the city, representing old age, how it attacks the body.
Chandavega.
Yeah, Chandavega. And so that takes us, that basically he, you could imagine the king saying, oh, okay, it's starting to click now. Okay, right. That's the 10 senses.
Right.
And he's starting to put it all together and trying to understand, that's me. I'm King Puranjana. I'm the soul within the body, right? I'm trying to enjoy through the gates of the body and so on, and through the different senses. I have this dharmic intelligence that I abandoned when I went off in all the animal killing that is involved with, all the harm that is causing other living entities. Then I had to come back to my dharmic intelligence, but still there was more to life that I haven't understood. Then, but I should be open to the idea of the friend within the heart sharing with me the truth about, what life is really all about, who I really am. I should try to remember he's now taking that whole story and with that information, he's putting it all together. And that brings us up, when we get up to text 24 and 25, this is what Narada says to the king, having summarized that whole story about, really it's the story of all of us, right? All of us having entered into this material realm, stepped into the virtual reality. All of us are searching for happiness through the body and going through so many ups and downs, so many trials, And so he says here, this is in text, it's really, the text 24 and 25 are combined, but it's within there. He says, the living entity lying down within the body is disturbed by so many tribulations pertaining to providence, to other living entities, and to his own body. You picked up on that one right there, Raghunath? The threefold miseries, right? We get miseries that
Come from your own being,
from
from outside beings, and come from the material energy, like the heat, the cold, the sun, the rain.
Exactly. So he says, despite all these kinds of tribulations, the living entity subjected to the necessities of the body, mind, and senses, and suffering from various types of disease, is carried away by many plans due to their lust to enjoy the world. Right. So, like, although I'm
Isn't it
going,
interesting? We sort of pitch that as like a great thing. My
Lust for
lust
life.
for life. Here it's like, nope.
no,
That's
you could,
actually causing you all the pain.
in a sense, we say you can have a lust for spiritual life, right?
Yeah.
Like enthusiasm, like, hey, there's something to live for here. There's something exciting. There's something
But
that,
it is pleasurable. The
Yeah.
spiritual life, it's not like we're just saying, sit in a cave, sit in a box, zip yourself in a closet. No, our spiritual life is adventurous and fun and filled with, relationships and fine foods and, dancing and beauty. You know how many flower garlands I've worn in my life?
How many?
Millions. How many people, if I just go around to my local village here, Chatham, New York, and say, how many times have you guys worn a flower garland? And be like, never.
well, if
I've
only
worn
if they went
lots
to
of
Hawaii.
flowers. I have a lot of flowers in my life. I've eaten foods that most people have never eaten. It's just like we have a rich, sensual, a culture. It's not just like completely dry and broken. We travel all over the world. Hasn't Krishna taken us all over the world, Kostuba?
Yes, yeah.
I mean, I traveled a lot before, but Krishna's really taken me places.
Special places, yeah. Even little Amelini, she was saying that trip was one of the best things I ever did in my life, right?
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
so even though, in other words, what Narada's saying here, look at yourself. You're stuck in a body. It's got all kind of necessities. This is the kind of
Stuck
thing.
in a body. That's a great one.
We're
Stuck in this body.
We're stuck in a body from Bayonne, New Jersey. But sometimes you can't understand anything unless you know there's another alternative.
Yep.
Right? Like for someone to say, look, you're stuck in a body that has all these, you have a body, a mind, and senses that have all kind of necessities, and you're suffering from various types of diseases. Unless you know that there's an alternative to that, you say, well, that's life, right? Notice say, no, that's not life. That's actually like some warped reflection of real life. You actually, it's not your nature to endure this kind of suffering. It's you are being slowed down by that material body. You have a spiritual form. You have, that has none of these defects, but you're stuck in this miserable body, and still you're making all kind of plans to enjoy with it. Why don't you figure out how to get out of the circumstance that you're in, right? So he says that although transcendental to this material existence, the living entity, out of ignorance, accepts all these material miseries under the pretext of false egoism, I and mine. In this way, he lives for 100 years within this body, right? Roughly, a human lifespan could go 100 years. So this is what everybody's doing, right? They're stuck in a bad situation. They're not even getting it. And they're trying to make, they're thinking of it as, oh, there's so many great possibilities. Let me figure them out. And still we're subjected to old age, disease, ultimately death. All right. You want to read from here on out?
Yeah.
That was text 24 and 25. So I think he was
26.
26 and 27.
The living entity by nature has minute independence to choose his own good or bad fortune. Whew. That is a big statement.
Minute independence.
Yeah, we think we're so free. I'm just going to do it. No, you're not. Your senses are going to pull you that way. I was having a talk with one of the devotees here yesterday, and he was asking me, what do you think about, having kids, falling in love and stuff like that? And
you said, young man, sit down. You and I are going to have a serious talk.
Sort of. I said, falling in love. I said, it's just we don't even know what love is. We don't even know what love is when we say we're falling in love. I mean, she's so gorgeous, and she's so nice to me, and she thinks I'm so cool. And it's like based on my lower instincts, my lower passions, my genitals is arranging the marriage. That's why we have, in the old days, you had parents. They acted as your intelligence. Just like a child wants to eat candy, and the parent says, no, vegetables. You can have a little bit of sweet at the end. So we have a parent who can govern for us, advocate for us. But otherwise, the arranged marriage is not done by the parents. It's done by my lower chakras. So how did I get onto the story?
You were asked.
We have minute. Okay, because we think, yeah, well, I'm falling in love. You're not doing anything. You're getting dragged around by your lower passions, and you're calling it love. It's infatuation, and that ends quick.
Well, that's where this verse is going to go. It's going to begin to talk about the modes of material nature. These external influences that yogis understand, these are in effect, people that aren't yogis don't even know about it, right? That there are 3 different influences that well, why don't you go ahead and read the verse and we'll dive into it.
Well, yeah, I didn't finish this.
Because we'll start over now.
The living entity by nature has minute independence to choose his own good or bad fortune. But when he forgets his supreme master, the personality of Godhead, he gives himself up unto the modes of material nature. Being influenced by the modes of material nature, he identifies.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. My bad.
It's okay. He gives himself up to the modes of material nature. Sort of like what I was just saying.
Okay.
Being influenced by the gunas,
yeah,
modes of material nature, he identifies himself with the body and for the interest of the body, becomes attached to various activities.
So I thought I was in control, but no, actually I'm being controlled.
Yeah, I thought I was. That is so interesting when you look at it like this. You can't actually have freedom. You can't have full freedom, period. We're a puppet. So don't get proud of all, but to the degree that you become sattvic, you actually have more and more minute freedom. Once you're in Rajas and Tamas, your freedom gets taken away. And you go back to this karmic laws that are sort of like strings on our limbs being pulled by the puppeteer of the gunas. Puppeteer of the gunas from Jersey Shore.
Okay.
But boo. We hate puppeteer of the gunas. That was dumb. Sometimes he's under the influence of the mode of ignorance. Check. Sometimes under the mode of passion. Check. Sometimes under the mode of goodness. Blank. The living entity thus gets different types of bodies under the modes of material nature. This is going right back to my original sloka. Yum yum vapi, right?
Yeah.
Ram bhavam.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like we're under the influence of the modes. Let's talk about the modes of material nature. But there's 2 ways, right? Like in one sense, we're under their influence at any particular moment. But then the thing is, then at the end, you kind of do a whole, like you kind of ring the whole thing up and go cha-ching, like your whole life, your whole karma, all the activities that you've done, where your consciousness at, you ring the whole thing up. And then you get a new body that's influenced by one of these modes. Now you're really like, you might just have to live out that, like, say you take birth as a platypus, right? It's like you got to live in that platypus body under the modes that influence the platypus for that whole lifetime. You got to live that out. Now,
by the way, if you're tuning into the show for the first time, we believe that you could become a platypus.
It's very possible.
Just putting that out there. People were like, wait a second, I thought this was a daily yoga podcast. It is. This is part of yoga.
This is yoga, right?
And you become.
Yeah. Yes. So the 3.
Why not? Platypuses are people. They're beings. They have a life. They want to eat. They want to mate. They want to have children. They want to raise a family.
Same kind of.
Why is that so weird?
It's the bill. It's like
they lay eggs.
It's got a duck bill. It's really weird. Actually, why don't we get into the modes tomorrow, because we're kind of running out of time here, and we'll get right back to this verse.
I love the gunas.
You love talking about them, or you love like
I
wallowing in them?
I love being
fully influenced and controlled by them.
By the way, for those who've never lived in an ashram, that was like sort of an ashram, like saying like, oh man, because
dude, I'm in the modes
today.
I'm in the modes today.
You're so in the modes. It means like you're groggy or sleepy or tired, or you're in the modes. Yeah. So I want everybody to say that today to somebody. You're so in the modes.
What would you say to the audience when you get up on that stage today, Rana? You guys are in the modes.
You guys are in the modes.
Let's set this off. What are you going to say when you the first thing you're going to say to get the whole thing?
Let's bring this.
What? Let's bring this.
Let's bring this. I don't know. I'm not cool anymore. I'm okay with that.
Okay. All right. Mara.
Mara.
Thanks. Thanks for that. All right, we got takeaways today. Careful what you look for, you'll find it.
Let's get a little closer to that mic.
Okay. Attachment clouds truth perception.
It sure does.
Yeah.
Bhagavatam speaks to us in accordance of how attached we are.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
There's less hope in the material world as you age.
Urban waste, no hope.
Every layer of onion is an ocean of tears.
Every layer of onion is an ocean of tears.
With a diamond inside.
With a diamond inside, so keep digging, keep feeling away.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna lose them. Have a lust for spiritual life.
Oh, lust for spiritual life.
Lust for spiritual life.
Spiritual knowledge is meant to crack the facades.
Facade.
Okay, we're not enough, please. Otherwise,
Don't
we're going to
let your
stop.
lower passions arrange your marriage.
Yeah.
No.
Surrender to Krishna, not the gunas.
That's right.
Surrender to Krishna, not the gunas.
And
You better be a good
And?
one. I need a good one to get me in the mood of the gigs today.
roadie with devotees.
Ooh, the
Right.
roadie with devotee. Want to be a roadie? Find the devotees. There you
All
go.
right.
Where's Jeff Eisenberg when we need a roadie? Come on. He's like, what? Guitar tech. Harmon Unders down. Jeff, get in there. You're in.
He tried to stage that.
Would it be great if you just get a non-hardcore person like Kylie Brown? Kylie Brown, you're a roadie. Drum
She's like,
tech.
I'll do it. We got to thank Amelini one more time, Roganath. Thank you, Amelini, for being on the show.
Megan McDonald, you're loading us in today.